single man of large fortune from the north. Well, what a thing for our girls, Mr. Bennet.
How so, Mrs. Bennet? How can it affect them?
But how can you be so tiresome? I depend upon him marrying one of them.
Indeed? Is that his design in settling here?
Design? Nonsense, how can you talk so? But it is very likely he may fall in love with one of them. Therefore, you must visit him at once. Well, it'd be impossible for us to visit him if you do not.
You are over-scrupulous, my dear, surely. These are desperate times. 5 daughters, all unmarried. And this house, this land, entailed away to a cousin when you have finally driven me to my death. And what's to become of you? I know what will become of me. Well, I'll tell you what I will do. I will write a few brief lines to assure our new neighbor that he has my hearty consent to his marrying whichever he chooses of the girls. Oh, he'll have a hard time.
Oh, he will, he will. Of course, Jane is the eldest. He will be sensitive to that.
They all being equally silly and ignorant like other girls, except possibly my little Lizzie. Oh, pass me my pen. There's no time to be lost.
You take delight in vexing me. You have no compassion for my nerves.
You mistake me, my dear. I have a high regard for your nerves. They are my old friends. I've heard you mention them with consideration these 20 years at least.
You will not wait upon Mr. Bingley.
I assure you, Mrs. Bennet, I will not.
It's a fair prospect. Pretty enough, I grant you. Oh, it's nothing to Pemberley, I know. But I must settle somewhere. How about your approval?
You'll find the society something savage.
Country manners, I think they're charming.
Then you better take it.
Thank you. I shall. I shall close with the attorney directly.
My dear, Mr. Bennet, wonderful news. Netherfield Park is let at last.
Is it?
Yes, it is, for I have just had it from Mrs. Long. And do you not want to know who has taken it?
You want to tell me, and I have no objection to hearing it.
Why, then it is taken by a young man of large fortune from the north of England. A single man of large fortune, my dear. He came down on Monday in a chaise and four to see the place. His name is Bingley, and he will be in possession by Michaelmas, and he has 5,000 a year. What a fine thing for our girls.
How so? How can it affect them?
Oh, Mr. Bennett, how can you be so tiresome? You must know that I'm thinking of his marrying one of them.
For a single man in possession of a good fortune must be in want of a wife.
Yes, he must indeed. And who better than one of our 5 girls?
What a fine joke if he were to choose me.
Me?
So that is his design in settling here, to marry one of our daughters.
Design? Oh, how can you talk such nonsense? But you know he may very likely fall in love with one of them. Therefore, you must visit him directly he comes.
Visit him? Oh, no, no, I see no occasion for that.
Oh, Mr. Bennett!
Go yourself with the girls. Or, still better, send them by themselves.
By themselves?
Aye, for you're as handsome as any of them. Mr. Bingley might like you best of the party.
Lydia.
Letters are used in the book to convey crucial and complex pieces of information. Darcy's letter to Elizabeth is a long and important one. In it, he both defends his actions in breaking Bingley's attachment to Jane
To Miss Elizabeth Bennet.
and tells the story of Wickham. Here's an extract showing how Andrew Davis dramatises this letter.
Be not alarmed, madam, on receiving this letter, that it contain any repetition of those sentiments or renewal of those offers which were, this evening, so disgusting to you. But I must be allowed to defend myself against the charges laid at my door. In particular, those relating to Mr. Wickham, which, if true, would indeed be grievous, but are wholly without foundation, and which I can only refute by laying before you his connection with my family. Mr. Wickham is the son of a very respectable man who had the management of our family estates, and my own father was fond of him and held him in high esteem. We played together as boys. After his father's early death, my father supported him at school and afterwards at Cambridge, and hoped he would make the church his profession. But by then, George Wickham's habits were as dissolute as his manners were engaging. My own excellent father died 5 years ago, and his attachment to Mr. Wickham was to the last so steady that he desired that a valuable family living might be his as soon as it was vacant. Mr. Wickham declined any interest in the church as a career, but requested and was granted the sum of £3,000 instead of the living. He expressed an intention of studying the law. I wished, rather than believed him to be sincere.
Thank you. I'm most exceedingly obliged.
All connection between us seemed now dissolved.
Georgiana.
Being now free from all restraint, his life was one of idleness and dissipation. How he lived, I know not. But last summer, our paths crossed again under the most painful circumstances, which I myself would wish to forget. My sister, Georgiana, who is more than 10 years my junior, was left to the guardianship of Colonel Fitzwilliam and myself. About a year ago, she was taken from school to Ramsgate and placed in the care of a Mrs. Young, in whose character we were most unhappily deceived. And thither also went Mr. Wickham, undoubtedly by design. She was persuaded to believe herself in love and to consent to an elopement. She was then but 15 years old. A day or two before the intended elopement, I joined them unexpectedly. Unable to support the idea of grieving a brother whom she looked up to almost as a father, she acknowledged the whole plan to me at once. You may imagine what I felt and how I acted. Mr. Wickham left the place immediately. Mr. Wickham relinquished his object, which was, of course, my sister's fortune of £30,000. The secondary motive must have been to revenge himself on me. Had he succeeded, his revenge would have been complete indeed. This, madam, is a faithful narrative of all my dealings with Mr. Wickham.